Overwatch League Season 2 just around the corner. Are you ready for it? Am I ready for it? Is Overwatch ready for it? Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Josh, and today, well, it turns out that the final Overwatch League team has revealed their colours, and so now we have all the new Overwatch League teams sort of unveiled for the first time, bearing themselves to the world, and bearing their colours and logos and designs and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to be doing is taking a look through all these new teams, all the new colours that you can sort of get now as skins as well, and also just a little bit about sort of the teams themselves, what they're probably going to play like, how are they going to do, perhaps a little bit of speculation here and there about some things to look out for on these teams, some things that might go right, some things that might go wrong. And to start out with, we're going to start sort of in reverse chronological order. So the team that revealed itself first, of course, was the Atlanta Reign. Now, Atlanta Reign has probably one of the biggest names in Overwatch on that roster. Dafran, consistent source of drama surrounding himself, but also a consistently incredible hit scan DPS player. He's sort of a terror to behold. If you watch this guy, it feels like you're watching someone with an aimbot, but he doesn't actually have an aimbot. One of the best FPS talents probably floating around in terms of esports in general at the moment. The only concern with Dafran is, you know, his mental fortitude, his mental attitude and stuff like that. And we've seen in the past that Overwatch League can be absolutely grueling on these players. So it's going to be interesting to see that one. Also, another player that I recommend keeping your eye on is Erster, comes from the Chinese scene, and he's been a consistent, huge player in that scene. Like, he's an absolute monster, incredibly good Genji player. Genji's still looking kind of okay, but I'm not really going to speculate on the meta because Overwatch League starts in like 3 months. Maybe-ish, I think, if I've got my dates right. So it's a while away, right? We're probably not going to still be in GOATS meta. We're probably going to be in something else that everyone considers just as equally bad, if not worse. And so, hey, there's no real point speculating on what the meta is going to be. It's a little bit too hard to call that far in the future. In terms of design, though, like the visuals, well, they've gone for this red, black, and silver, or red, black, and white sort of look for themselves, which it's pretty good. It's a little bit uninspired. It's a little bit bland. Kind of just looks good on everything, though. I do like the logo, I will say. Sort of the Phoenix graphic, I think, is extremely cool. The name, I don't quite get. I just imagine, like, right, because I do casting. I occasionally dabble in a little bit of casting here and there, and it's really awkward to say stuff like, oh, and the Reign are doing this, right? That just doesn't sound quite right to me. I don't know. It's a weird one. The Atlanta Reign, the Atlanta Reigns. I don't know. It's just interesting choice is what I'd say. But we move on next to probably everybody's favorite, everyone's absolute favorite, which is the Chengdu Hunters. And these guys have a beautiful logo. Like, it's probably the best logo in the entire scene. It's just a very grumpy looking panda, and I love it. And they've got some great colors as well. They've sort of gone for the bumblebee look, right? The black, yellow, and a little bit of silver, sort of a goldish, bronzy silver almost in there, actually. It's like a very pale metallic color. I'm not sure what you'd call that. I'm sure someone could figure it out there on the interwebs. Taking a look at their roster, they have gone for a almost completely Chinese roster. I do believe one of their players, Bacon Jack, I think that's Chinese Taipei. Yeah, that's Taiwan that he comes from. I don't know if I'm going to get censored in China for saying Taiwan, who knows. But they have like a very, very Chinese roster, and it's always very difficult to guess at what Chinese players are going to be like in the Overwatch League, because the Chinese scene as a whole is just chaotic. If you go and watch any Chinese contenders, if you talk to any of the casters doing, or any, like, go and watch any of, say, Volomel's content out there, who does a lot covering the Chinese scene, China is just anarchy, right? They play kind of whatever they want to play. 4 DPS, it doesn't matter. 5 DPS, 1 support, 2 tanks, 3 tanks, 4 tanks. They don't really follow the set meta. They're not going to just play GOATs. They're going to play whatever they kind of want to play. And it comes down to a lot of this individual skill and this individual play in that scene. And so as a result, the individual players, like we saw Guxua demonstrate at the World Cup, extremely good individual players. It's just the question is, when you get into like a longer season, when you start getting into seasonal play, do they have the coaching staff? Do they have the cohesion compared to some of these Overwatch League teams? Because World Cup and Overwatch League are kind of worlds apart in terms of how coordinated teams are, how planned teams are, how well-researched teams are. And with the format changes going into the Overwatch League, where teams will only be playing 1 game a week now, they can really buckle down and prepare for their opponents. So it's going to be a big task for the coaching staff especially to sort of get these players under control, get them on a cohesive page, and then see how they measure up to their rivals. Love the visuals though. I absolutely love the design of their logo, their brand, everything. The Hunters, extremely easy as well, rolls off the tongue. The Hunters are doing super well. It's nice. It's good all around. 10 out of 10 for these guys. Up next, we have either an energy drink or a brand of mouthwash, which is the Guangzhou Charge, or is it Guangzhou? Again, Chinese pronunciation is not going to be my strongest point. I'm sure everyone's going to be messing it up, and I'm sure anyone who speaks Chinese is going to be going absolutely insane, so I apologize in advance. But these are the minty fresh addition to the Overwatch League, with that sort of very deep blue and then bright sort of teal aqua sort of color, guaranteed to leave a little bit of freshness in their wake. It's gonna look good on a number of heroes, and I've got to cheer for them slightly because they have two players that I really love on that team, which is they have, of course, our boy Kib. Kib is just phenomenal. He's an incredible player. I know when Sty and I were watching a lot of the Team UK scrims and stuff, we were just consistently commenting on, like, Kib just looked really good. Kib just looked really, really good this year. Like, he looks insanely good. He played phenomenally at the World Cup. He can play just about any hero you want. But he's going to run into a problem on this team, which is that this team is almost all Chinese and all Korean. Well, it's mostly Korean. It's got a little bit of Chinese in there. And then two Westerners with Kib and Nero. And they're going to have to either learn Korean callouts, which is going to be difficult for them, I imagine, or they're going to have to learn some Chinese callouts, and it's going to be bizarre, right? It's going to be chaos, I think. It's just going to be a nightmare. The other player that I really recommend keeping an eye on is Eileen. On that team, Eileen is a phenomenal Chinese player, sort of one of the best DPS players in the Chinese region, and he's an absolute star, an absolute legend, someone to really keep an eye out on. Eileen could be one of those superstar DPSs towards the end of the Overwatch League. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for that lad. We move on to the third and final new Chinese team joining the Overwatch League. And I do kind of want to dispel a myth as well before I continue that, like, China is somehow super bad at Overwatch, right? This idea that because the Shanghai Dragons went 40-0 and were just completely terrible, that every single Chinese team is going to be bad. A lot of these teams are mixed Korean and Chinese. A lot of these players are perhaps better than the Shanghai Dragons starting roster ever was. A lot of questions were raised about the choices that the Shanghai Dragons made in their initial roster as well. These players all look pretty resolute. Like, there's a lot of intelligent decisions going into picking these players. And for this team as well, Hangzhou Spark, well, it's going to be, first and foremost, this is going to be every Reaper player's favorite team because it's the baby pink and the blue. Very, very stylish. I love it. I imagine these guys are going to sell an absolute ton of skins to everyone feeling a little bit spicy. They want to bring out their inner little pink butterfly, I suppose, and show off a little bit. I do like the logo. I do like the sort of the look of it as well, sort of the finger. And like, I noticed one thing they did when they did like a little public sort of meet and greet thing with the team is they actually started like doing the finger gesture and stuff. And it sort of made it for a very easy, like, cool little thing that they can do. Might be a bit cringy, but also, yeah, it's nice to have. I think it's nice to have. It's nice to have these little things that these teams can do for each other. But looking at the team itself, well, they have none other than sort of one of the breakout performances of the Overwatch World Cup. I already mentioned him earlier, Gushua on that main tank role. He's going to be a big, big threat. He's mostly known for his Winston play, not really known for his Reinhardt play. And Reinhardt play is super important in the Overwatch League, so it's going to be interesting to see how that one pairs out. But they do have a lot of talent as well coming from the X6 roster, I do believe, coming out of Korean Contenders, which they had a great performance in Season 1, slightly spotty performance in Season 2, if I remember my Korean Contenders correctly, which I believe I do. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one comes out. A lot of these elements from this team have played with each other for a long time as well. That's definitely going to help with cohesion and stuff like that going into the Overwatch League, which again, very, very important thing to keep an eye on. Up next, we get to the sole European newcomer, which I'm not salty about at all. Ignore me, I'm massively salty about that. Come on, Blizzard. Come on. Like, people were at the... like, if you were at the Overwatch World Cup in Paris, right, and you heard that French crowd going nuts, there's so much passion in the European scene. Come on, Blizzard, please, please. Anyway, Paris Eternal. Right, so, Paris. Really cool design. With, like, I see what they're going for. So if you aren't aware, like, the French, they have this thing called Le Coq Sportif. That's my French, right? And it's not lewd or anything like that. It's their symbol, right? It's a male chicken. It's a cockatrice, I think. It's a cock-a-doodle-doo, right? I can say that. I'm allowed to. Sty can't ban me for that one. So yeah, it's a cool design. Like, I actually really like the logo. So it's like, it is the rooster, I suppose, just to be safe. You almost have that figure 8 design, right? You have that figure 8 in the middle of it, that infinity symbol in the middle of it. I think that's really, really cool. The colors also are super nice, sort of the desaturated blue and the maroony sort of red with a little bit of gold splashed in for accentuation. It's not sort of a lazy color scheme. It's more striking, it's more vibrant. So, you know, and when I say lazy, I mean like Soul Dynasty, for example, right? Everyone loves the black and gold with a splash of white. That's super easy to look good on anything, but when you sort of look at brands and designs, well, if you just go black and gold, you're going to mix in with everyone else who's gone black and gold kind of lazily, right? So by going for this more maroon and this sort of darker blue, I guess, this is more striking to me. Like, it's very much recognizable. It's a very, very striking design, and I really like it. I also think they probably have the best name, although, again, it's one of those names that doesn't roll off the tongue for a team. You know, you don't really want to say, like, the Eternals, I guess, or the Eternal has done this. I don't know, maybe it's just, like, because I'm British and I'm used to teams being called, you know, Newcastle United, and Liverpool Football Club, and Blackburn Rovers. I'm not really used to teams being called Eternal, right? It sounds more like a skin cream to me. Oh, the Paris Eternal, get yours now. Revitalizes your skin. You know, that's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like a team. It sounds like a skincare brand or something. It's insane. But anyway, this team, I'm going to make a bold statement, and I know Cruz would kill me if he ever hears me make this statement, as our boy Cruz is on this team. Paris Eternal is made up of all European talent, and a lot of this European talent is brand new to the Overwatch League. These guys are new and shiny and fresh, and I think they're going to be shit until Stage 3. Right, I really think they're not going to do super well. And the reason why is, again, a lot of that talent is brand new to the Overwatch League. They do have some of the old guard. They do still have some of the old players there with them. Shadowburn soon, for example, going to be there. They also have some of the older coaches, like Kaikai, I believe, is one of the coaching staff for that team. They also have a coach called Saito, who I've had nothing but good about. He coached Team Finland in the World Cup. I generally hear, like, in coaching circles and in analyst circles, Saito is generally pretty well regarded, so going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. But again, I will be surprised if they do super well, and it will be a very pleasant surprise, but I'm sort of bracing myself for these guys to do badly for a little while, and then as they get used to the Overwatch League, as they get used to sort of the scheduling, how it works, and the environment, then they're going to step up and get better and better. Some key talent to keep an eye on, of course. I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Cruz, man who I've been following since, like, the beta days, right? I've seen Cruz play when he was playing for a team called, like, Arcane Esports or something, some tiny little team playing Tracer on an account that wasn't even called Cruz back then, and then I've seen this guy just get better and better and better and sort of evolve and grow, not only as a player but as a person. I'm super happy to see him in the Overwatch League. I think he'll do amazing. Other talents, of course, soon, always going to be worth keeping an eye on. Just huge DPS player. Danier as well, Poland sort of superstar, one of the stars that came out of the Overwatch World Cup, definitely stood out on the Polish team, is going to have a chance perhaps with the Paris Eternal to prove himself on the global stage. Up next, and making me think that I did actually get these out of order, because I think the Toronto Defiant were one of the earliest to reveal themselves, and again, coolish logo, I guess. It's a bit weird. It looks more like TP to me, which says, you know, I come from a generation where TP is for your bunghole. Like, that's the generation I come from, so when I see that logo, I don't think TD, I don't think Toronto Defiant, I just think either a weird triangle or, yeah, TP. That's all I see, unfortunately. I like the red black. It's, again, it's lazy in my mind. It looks good, don't get me wrong. I think it's going to look cool on a lot of things, but I don't see it being particularly, like, striking and vibrant. It's like, oh man, that's such a cool scheme. It's just, yeah, it's kind of a visual staple, right? Red and black, kind of hard to go wrong with. White accents, okay, fair enough. You've gone something safe, but it's not really going to grab everybody, right? It's not going to grab people like, you know, the Hangzhou Sparks logos and stuff, or the Hangzhou Spark colors. Like, oh my god, that's so striking, that's insane. Then again, playing it safe, they've paid probably a lot of money for this, so I don't blame them too much for playing it a bit safe there. In terms of the team, well, I hope all the Canadian fans are super happy to hear nothing but, oh, it's the Korean Defiant, which is everything that, you know, the London Spitfire and London have had to put up with, because it is, of course, a team of Koreans. And it's a bit of a strange pickup. Like, if you're super curious about the Toronto Defiant, they come from, like, a lot of them come from a team called O2 or O2 Team. And yeah, it's kind of a strange beast, because this isn't a team that is, like, super storied like some of the other Korean teams that have been picked up. This is a team that's sort of middle of the pack, I would say. In Korea, they did pretty well. Some of these players, I think, did pretty well in the first Korean contenders, but Season 2, perhaps not so great. Again, I'm not, like, super familiar with Korean contenders. I do follow it, but I don't follow it religiously like some people do. So as a result, a lot of these players, like, don't quite jump out at me the same way that some of the other players I've seen named in Overwatch League Season 2 do. And so I'm sort of curious to see how these guys will do. I imagine they're going to be probably pretty middle of the pack. I think the luster, like the shine on Koreans has faded somewhat, and people are sort of getting more used to the idea of the Koreans aren't going to be super dominant like we expected them to be. You know, going into Overwatch League Season 1, everybody was talking up all the Korean teams, and suddenly Seoul kind of have trouble. NYXL performed pretty much at the level we expected the Koreans to play at. Seoul had a lot of trouble. London Spitfire looked pretty good, but then had like this weird nosedive sort of in the middle of the season, and as a result, you know, a lot of confidence has sort of faded in these all-Korean rosters. We'll see how it goes, though, for these guys. In more recent news that kind of surprised no one, I think this leaked a little bit earlier, that the Vancouver Titans will be joining the Overwatch League as well, and hey, it's more Koreans for Canada. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this team though is actually a very, very storied team. A lot of these players come from Runaway, and Runaway is one of the most storied and sort of one of the most hyped up Korean teams, deservedly so in my mind, coming from the Korean scene. It's a bit of a shame that they didn't actually get the pink that the team is known for. Instead, they've got this weird blue-green that I can kind of elucidate on a little bit. I know a lot of people actually are really not happy with this design. I think this is the one that's sort of earned the most people going, ew, I'm not the biggest fan of that one. I think the reason why they went with this is because I think the parent organization is Luminosity, and Luminosity, in Overwatch at least, had two teams for a while. They had Luminosity Gaming Loyal and Luminosity Gaming Evil, and they had blue and green as their colors. So I think they've just stuck with those colors, similar to how Cloud9 stuck with their sort of baby blue for London Spitfire. And as a result, you have this blue-green color scheme that kind of striking, I guess. You know, I've harped on teams for being a little bit boring, a little bit safe, but I think this one, they've taken two very clashing colors. It's very bright, very vivid, very recognizable, very good for brand recognition, but it is a little bit garish. It is a little bit clashing if I do put on my visual design hat and say, I'm not the happiest with it. Maybe, I imagine some people out there might really like it, but I don't think I'm going to be seeing this one too much in game, unfortunately. And last but no means least, shiny and bright off the presses, is the Washington Justice, which I think is a really cool name, actually. You know, I've harped on team names before, like the Titans, by the way, I think is a really cool name. But Justice, I really kind of like that one. I don't know, something about it, Washington Justice, just sounds like a superhero, you know, from Washington Justice, saving the day. He just sounds awesome. I don't know. I like it. I really like it. I see that they've gone like completely 100%. Let's just go as American as hell. And I actually really dig this. And I know this is kind of sacrilege as a Brit, but I like the fact that they've just taken it and just run with it, right? They have just gone, yep, we're going to be the American team. Doesn't bode well for them at the start, though, because I do believe that the only player confirmed is a Korean player on that team. Just glancing at Liquipedia, and I just see Janice being listed, who is Korean, so if they are going to be the all-American red, white, and blue, well, yeah, I mean, I guess being British, I can't throw stones, you know, someone in glass houses can't throw stones and all that good stuff, so yeah, like, hats off to them, though. I really like the design, I really like the logo, I really like the colours. It gives me flashbacks as well to Team UK beating Team USA, which, of course, always going to be very smug and happy about that. I don't care what people say about the last BlizzCon, it's the best BlizzCon ever because we knocked out the USA at BlizzCon, and that just makes it mwah, mwah. I hope that kiss is coming through bright and clear for everybody. Right. I want to know, though, like, who is your favourite of the new teams? What is your favourite color scheme? What is your favorite design? Because if you don't follow Overwatch League, then to you, all this is just going to be shiny new skins. You could perhaps pick up one or two of using those free tokens that you get every so often. Personally, I see myself probably getting a Chengdu Hunters Tracer or a few Chengdu Hunters skins at the very least. I think those look really, really cool. And then I'll probably get, like everybody else, the Pink Reaper. I've got to get the Pink Reaper, the Spark Reaper. I think that one looks absolutely amazing as well. For the rest of them, I'm not so sure. Like, I don't mind the minty fresh Moira from Gangshao Charge as well. That one looks okay, but I think Moira's Blackwatch skin is just too good to pass up. And the rest of them, I can kind of give or believe them. basically. But yeah, definitely do let us know over here at Unit Lost if you are super excited for some of these skins, or if you're excited for the teams as well. Like, Stylosa and I are both huge fans of the esports scene, and both huge fans of the Overwatch League itself, so we're really looking forward to seeing how things go, how things shake out. I feel dirty, but I will be cheering for Paris. I want Paris to do well. It's just, you know, in my heart, I think they're going to be amazing. In my head, I'm not so sure. And on that bombshell, I think I'll wrap up. If you want to find all the Unit Lost related news, then do follow at Unit Lost Gaming on Twitter. You can also follow me at one underscore amongst many. I always forget the underscore. Also, don't forget to click the bell to get notifications for when new vids go out, because sometimes YouTube decides not to tell people at random, and that's very frustrating. So do ding the bell if you do want to know when a new video comes out, and sub if you haven't already. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching to the end. I've been Josh, one voice amongst many, over here at Unit Lost, and I'll see you next time. Toodles.